Hello, good game. Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're all having a magical day. Thank you so much for taking the time to support the channel. 3 new Crimson Vow decks to reveal and talk about with you guys today, going through some of the strategies and synergies included within them. The release of Crimson Vow is on the 11th, just in a few days, which is really exciting. We have some of the best decks from the previous meta upgraded for the new meta today. I'm sorry, someone had to do it. Mono white, mono green, and Prismari turns coming back at you, bigger and badder than ever. I don't know really how I feel about this, but with that being said, if I don't do it, someone else will. So support the channel, thumbs up, subscriptions to help me reach my goal, and maybe even become a Patreon available within the Linktree link in the description below. Let's take a look at some of these new decks. All right, here we are. We have first up Prismari Hell, also known as Prismari Turns. I think we can call it Prismari Hell now because we have the addition of the Mana form Hellkite. This is a 4 mana 4/4 with flying, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX red dragon illusion creature token with flying and haste, where X is the amount of mana to cast that spell. Exile the token at the beginning of the next end step. This is pretty wacky. This is a very, very good card. You know, 4/4 flyer is pretty decent already, but the fact that you can make multiple XX flyers with haste to deal even more damage is, you know, absolutely insane. So imagine casting an Alrund's Epiphany for 6 on top of the Hellkite. Now you've got a 4/4 flyer, you have a 6/6 flyer, and you're taking another turn to do more stuff on that following turn, which is, you know, just about the silliest thing I've ever thought of in my entire life. With that being said, we have some cool synergies here. The Alchemist Gambit paired with the Overcharged Amalgam to nullify us losing the game. The Alchemist Gambit is a 3 mana with cleave for 7 to take an extra turn, right? If we don't cleave it, we will lose the game at the beginning of the next end step, right? Or that turn's end step. So still gives you the turn, but you have to make sure that you close out the win. However, on that next turn, you can easily cast with Flash the Overcharged Amalgam to counter that triggered ability of you losing the game, which is really nice, right? So you don't lose the game, and you get to keep on playing, which is absolutely amazing, and maybe even taking another turn after that, right? Which is cool because, you know, it's just the same old, same old. We have Expressive Iteration to dig. We have Galvanic Iteration to copy. Smoldering Egg 0/4, cast 7 mana value. On top of it, it flips to a 4/4 that when you cast an instant or sorcery, it will deal 2 damage to any target. Holy Toledos. And then, you know, Divide by 0 for the bounce, Prismari Command for the ramp and damage, the Hellkite we already mentioned as a new addition to the deck, Memory Deluge just helping us draw, Overcharged Amalgam, which will counter the ability from the Gambit, or just, you know, another spell, right? It can exploit itself or another creature. Goldspan Dragon, doubling the value of our treasures. It's about the silliest thing in the world. And then Alrund's Epiphany. We don't have Expressive Windfall. That is something that we could include in the deck, but didn't quite have room for it here. There's just so many good cards, and I don't know if we'll need to run 4 copies of the Hellkite. I'm just looking forward to trying it out and seeing what kind of value that it truly possesses. I do think it is quite a bit. So that's our first deck. Next up, we have Mono White Aggro. The Hopeful Initiate is one of the best additions to the deck. This is a 1/2 with training, and whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So, you know, that should be relatively easy to accomplish, considering we have things like the Luminarch Aspirant just to control the field as far as our power and toughness goes within individual creatures. We can pay 3 to remove 2 counters from it to destroy target artifact or enchantment, which is actually pretty cool if you think about it later on. Usher of the Fallen is our second 1-drop. This is nothing new. Boast for 2 to create that 1/1 Intrepid. This is great. 3/1 with lifelink. We can pay 2 any number of additional times to put Valor counters on it, and then increasing the power and toughness equal to those Valor counters on all of our other creatures. Luminarch Aspirant, you know, we talked about this, putting counters places. Thalia is a new addition to the deck. 2/1 with first strike, and non-creature spells will cost 1 more to cast. This is so good, you guys. It's going to push back some of those control decks, right? Adeline helping us go wide, mixing with the Intrepid's Valor counters is very, very good. We have the Brutal Cathar for exile, Elite Spellbinder for hand control, and Redain for the increased spell cost of non-creatures 4 or greater. Savior of Ollenbach. I'm not totally convinced on this. However, much like the Hellkite, I want to try it out. I want to see what kind of value it can generate within the games. to, you know, decide whether or not it will hold its own weight within the heavy hitting mono white aggro deck. Then we have the Skyclave Apparition, you know, just to take care of things like the All-on Block, things like the Cathar that we don't want coming back into play. And then my favorite addition to this deck, the Welcoming Vampire, a 2/3 with flying, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under our control with power 2 or less, we get to draw a card, triggering only once each turn, but that is so good. A 2/3 flying for 3 that draws us cards. Yes, and then of course the entire deck has power less than 2, other than the Intrepid and the Elite Spellbinder, right? So that's really going to help. And then there's the single copy of the Legion Angel in deck as well, hiding here with those 3 in sideboard, right? So a very aggressive deck that I think got a ton of really nice upgrades. This Welcoming Vampire and the Hopeful Initiate are my 2 favorites, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Savior of Ollenbach perform as well. So with that out of the way, our final deck in today's video is the mono green werewolves. So this is pretty crazy. We're in this view instead of the other. I guess we can switch back and forth. The Pack Leader is an amazing card that just lights this deck on fire. It's a 2/1 entering the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater. Yeah, we can do that, right? We've got 4 drops in the deck. That's totally fine. And whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on the Pack Leader. Very good, right? Then we move into the Blizzard Brawl. That is what it is. We have the Pack Song Pup, which I really like because it's going to get a +1/+1 counter, which is really cool at the beginning of combat on your turn. If you control another wolf or werewolf, the Pack Leader, put a counter on the pup, right? Great news bears. Rangers class. It's making the wolf. It increases the power and toughness when they attack, and we can play off the top. Pack Leader, you know what it is. Just pack tactics for the draw. We can give it 5/3 trample. The Cemetery Prowler is new. This is a 3/4 with vigilance, and it enters the battlefield or attacks, either or. You're going to exile a card from a graveyard, much like the Sun Gold Sentinel from the last set. And then spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type that they share within the exiled cards. Which is really good to reduce the cost of some of our other spells. Cemetery Prowler is the meat and potatoes of the deck, right? The fact that we can reduce the cost of our spells, I think, is very good. We have Howling Moon as well at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target wolf or werewolf gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and then if your opponent is casting 2 or more spells a turn, create a 2/2 token, which I think is good. And then the best card in the deck, without a doubt, the Howl Pack Piper. 2 mana, can't be countered, pay 2, tap it to put a creature card from your hand into the battlefield. If it's a wolf or werewolf, untap the Piper, activating as sorcery. And that's daybound. We have nightbound size here as well. We'll talk about that in a sec. We have Avrabruk, Caretaker, 4/4 with hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. And then Tovolar, the Huntmaster, for 6, a 6/6. It enters the battlefield with 2 green wolves along its side, which is really cool, and that's daybound. We have Faceless Haven here as well, and then the Liberators just in a sideboard as we start to fill that out. Jumping back to the module cards here, the transform cards, the Caretaker transforms into a 6/6 with hexproof, giving other permanents we control hexproof as well. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Holy Toledos. And then the Huntmaster, whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. We can pay 4 to have another target wolf or werewolf we control fight a target creature we don't control. It's all right. It's something, right? And then we have the Howl Pack Piper and the Nightbound side. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Wildsong Howler, which is this variant, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand, and put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order, right? So a nice little draw there as well. The deck seems, fairly well put together. I'm a little worried about the Pack Leader mana value 4 or greater, but they are here, right? We have the Piper, we have the Huntmaster, we have the Caretaker, and that's really all that is applicable for the mono green wolves. I think we could also use this card successfully in the Gruul version, but you know, it's just like it fell together so nicely with the mono green variant here that I want to try it out before we get into that Gruul version. So those are our 3 decks of today's video. You know, keeping it quick, keeping it fresh. Really excited to try out some of these new cards and see what kind of value they're able to provide to the matches within Crimson Vow. Thank you all for your time and attention. I really do appreciate it. Every single day, you guys are amazing. Thumbs up on the video, new subscriptions, you know, new people joining the Discord, the community. Absolutely perfecto. New Patreons as well. I could not be more pleased. Thank you all so much. Have a magical day, and I'm really looking forward to playing Crimson Vow with you in just a few days. Take care.